It kind of got away from me again. I knew when I was going to map out the last 25 seasons of division standings on the board that it was going to take a lot more magnets. And it was going to take up a lot more space because we went to 6 divisions for a long while there. Now, the first season on here is the last year for the Norris, Smythe, Atlantic, and Pacific. And the Smythe ends up being the lowest rated again. But the separation between the best division and the worst division really starts to shrink from here. And then we get into the 3-point game. And that's where, to me anyways, it's sort of, I don't want to say demeaned, but it's made it so that finishing above 500, which is having more wins than losses, doesn't really mean anything anymore. And it should. 92-93, the average points in the Norris was 88. The teams you see on the left, that's your first place team in each division. The team you see on the right is your last place team in each division. The Smythe ended up with 76.1 points on average. The Atlantic, 80.5. The Patrick, 91.3. So, or Adams, said Atlantic, right? Adams, 80.5, and the Patrick, 91.3. Then the NHL going into 93-94, they reorganized things, and it's a better system, and the divisions are always in flux. That's why when people say, I don't like how this division's set up, don't worry. Eventually the NHL will change it, and there'll be something else that doesn't seem quite right. 93-94, the Northeast, Atlantic, Central, and Pacific are born. In the Northeast, they have an average of 80.7. The Atlantic, 89.1. The Central, 88.3. The Pacific, 77.5. And the Pacific is made up of a lot of the teams that were in the Smythe division before. So the fact that that division remains the worst was 77.5. Not a huge surprise. 94-95, this is a lockout shortened season, thus the much smaller number of points. The Northeast, the average was 49. The Atlantic, the average was 47. The Central, the average was 52.5. The Pacific, the average was 43.5. So again, the Pacific is the lowest rated, and this, of course, is in 48 games. The 95-96 season, the Northeast has 79 points on average. The Atlantic, 86.5. The Central, 88.1. The Pacific is worst again at 74.4. So even with the addition of the Colorado Avalanche, the Pacific is the worst division. 96-97, the Northeast has 77.6. The Atlantic, 85.8. The Central, 85.5. So very close for best division there. And the Pacific, 78.8. So the Northeast is lower than the Pacific, just barely, but the Pacific gets themselves out of the worst division category. 97-98. The Northeast is now up to 87 points on average. The Atlantic, 77.1. The Central, 89. The Pacific, 76.5. So the Pacific is back to being the lowest on average. And there's the Canucks at the bottom of the division. The 98-99 season, we go to 6 divisions: Northeast, Atlantic, Southeast, Central, Pacific, and Northwest. Because why not? Let's just have 6 divisions and we'll go with that for a while. Which means that the averages, with only 4 or 5 teams in a division, a lot of them have 4. It's going to mean that if a team has 120 points, it's going to drag everybody up. In the Northeast, the average was 191.4. The Atlantic, 84.6. The Southeast, 69.7. So when I talk about the Southeast being a weak division, I'm not saying it just because I want to fall in line with everybody else. We all said it for a reason. The Central, 78.2. The Pacific, 87.2. And the Northwest, 76.5. So this Northwest, which has Vancouver, Edmonton, Calgary in it, those old Smythe division teams, still pretty low down. 99-2000. The Northeast has 87.2 as their average. The Atlantic, 85.4. Southeast, 75.4. Central, 92.5. Pacific, 91.2. And the Northwest, 86. So the Northwest division not last or second last that year. So that's an advantage right there. That's a step up. 2000-2001, Northeast has 91 points. The Atlantic, 86.2. The Southeast, 73.8. Central, 87.2. Pacific, 89.8. Northwest, 88.4. So when you're looking at the average of these teams, yeah, the Southeast is at the bottom, and the bottom. So let's get to 2001, 2002, where the difference becomes really, really stark. This is where it's really ugly. Northeast has a 92.8 points average between the teams in the division. The Atlantic, 87.4. The Southeast, 71.8. 71.8. And the other two Eastern Conference divisions, 87.4 and 92.6. So, yeah, there's no doubt that the Southeast is definitely the weakest. The Central, 87.2. The Pacific, 89.6. And the Northwest, 87.4. So, much more even across the West than in the East. So how did things turn out in 2002, 2003? Well, the Northeast at 89.4, Atlantic at 88.2, and the Southeast at 78. So again, the Southeast is the lowest rated overall. The Central, 86.2, Pacific, 87, and the Northwest, 94.2. That is an excellent total for the Northwest Division. 2003, 2004, the last year before the lockout, 97.4 is the average in the Northeast. 83.8 the average in the Atlantic, and the Southeast is at 78.8. Their highest total, still the lowest in the league. The Central, 82.4, Pacific, 85.2, Northwest, 93.4. 2005, 2006. So how did things change coming out of the lockout? They did change. The Northeast, 96, the Atlantic, 87.6, the Southeast, 89.8, the Central, 85.2, Pacific, 95.8, Northwest, 93.8. The average total is well over 82. So the average team in the NHL is above 500. And that's where that becomes a thing, where no division is below 82 points. And I don't think that happens again on the board where a team's below 8, where a division's below 82 points on average. Showing that once again, a team getting 100 points now is not the same as a team getting 100 points back in the 70s or 80s. 2006, 2007, the Northeast has an average of 95 points. The Atlantic, 90.8. The Southeast, 86.8. So the Southeast is back to being the lowest division. And that's the Atlanta Thrashers that led the division that year. The Central, 89.6. The Pacific, 91.2. The Northwest, 94.2. 2007, 2008. The Northeast, 93. The Atlantic, 94.4. The Southeast, 83.6. So the Southeast is back to being the same as it was before the lockout. The Central, 90.6. Pacific, 92.2. Northwest, 92.6. 2008, 2009. Does it get better for the Southeast? Yes, but they're still the lowest rated. 92.8 for the Northeast Division, 92 points for the Atlantic, 88 for the Southeast, 97.6 for the Central, 89.8 for Pacific, 88.2 for the Northwest. So just a couple of points keeping the Northwest ahead of the Southeast. 2009, 2010. Again, you know, the Southeast is the lowest in the East, but this year they're not the lowest overall. The Northeast, 89.4. Atlantic, 91.2. Southeast, 88.2. Central, 96.6. Pacific, 99.6, almost an average of 100 points per team. And the Northwest, 86.8. So when the average is almost 100 points per team, those 3-point games are really making a difference. 2010, 2011. The Northeast, 90.8. The Atlantic, 91.8. The Southeast, 90.6. So yes, the Atlantic's still the worst in the East, but it's barely any difference there. The Central, 93.6. The Pacific, 99.2. The Northwest, 85.4. So the Northwest is the lowest rated the year that Vancouver wins President's Trophy. The first year that they win it, anyways. 2011-2012. This is the second year Vancouver wins President's Trophy. The Northeast, 88.2. The Atlantic, 100.2. The Southeast, 87.2. They're back at the bottom. The Central, 96.2. The Pacific, 91.4, and the Northwest, 88.8. 2012-2013, this again is a lockout-shortened season. The Northeast, 57.2. This is over a 48-game schedule, of course. The Atlantic, 56. The Southeast, 45.2, and they are last. Not only that, but the 45.2 means that, yes, they averaged below a 500 record that year. But it wasn't a full 82 games, so Anyways, the Central 57.8, the Pacific 56.2, and the Northwest exactly at 500 at 48 points on average between the teams that are in that division. 2013-2014, the Atlantic 87.6, the Metropolitan 91.5, the Central 98.7, and the Pacific 91.8, as we've gone back to 4 divisions, which is the way that it should be. And I hope they keep it that way going forward. But I wouldn't be surprised if we get to 32 teams and beyond if they split it into further smaller divisions. 2014-2015, the Atlantic 90.75, the Metropolitan 91.8, the Central 99.2. That's just insane. And the Pacific 87. 2015-2016, the Atlantic 87.8, the Metropolitan 95.8, the Central 94.5, and the Pacific 86.1. So the Pacific struggling along there, but still the average 86.1, which is crazy. 2016-2017, the Atlantic 90.3, the Metropolitan 97.2, the Central 88.8, and the Pacific 89.4. 2017-2018, this past season, how did the divisions measure up on average? Well, the Atlantic had 87.3, the Metropolitan 92.1, the Central 98.4, and the Pacific 89.1. And what's interesting about this is, I think that if you polled hockey fans, they would say the Central was the best, the Metropolitan would have been second, the Pacific third, and the Atlantic fourth. I do. I think that's the way that it would have shaken down, because the teams in the Atlantic at the bottom really dragged the teams, or the division's average down. Now, your top and bottom, so your President's Trophy winners and the team that finished with the least amount of points. 1993, your top team is Pittsburgh with 119. Your bottom team is Ottawa with 24. 1994, the Rangers are tops with 112. The Ottawa Senators are bottom with 37. The lockout shortened season in 95, Detroit leads the league with 70 points. At the bottom is the Ottawa Senators with 23. 1996, Detroit leads the league with 131 points. Ottawa's at the bottom with 41. 1997, the that is Colorado now. Colorado Avalanche lead the league at 107. Boston's at the bottom with 61. That was a miserable season for Boston. 1998, Dallas is the leader with 109. Tampa's at the bottom with 44. The following season, Dallas is number one again with 114. At the bottom is Tampa again with 47. 2000, St. Louis has 114 to lead the league. And at the bottom are the Atlanta Thrashers with 39. 2001, Colorado is number one with 118 points. The New York Islanders at the bottom with 52. 2002, Detroit has 116 to lead the league. Atlanta's at the bottom with 54. 2003, Ottawa leads the league with 113 points. Carolina at the bottom with 61. 2004, it's Detroit. And Detroit will be at the top for a while. 109 points to lead the league. 58 points is Pittsburgh's total at the bottom. 2006, Detroit gets 124. At the bottom, St. Louis with 57. 2007, Buffalo and Detroit tied for the league lead with 113. Phillies at the bottom with 56. 2008, Detroit leads the league with 115 points at the bottom. And this is the best total on the board for any teams with the bottom totals. LA and Tampa with 71 points each. The 2009 season, San Jose 117 points. They lead the league. At the bottom, the New York Islanders with 61. 2010, the Capitals lead the league with 121 points. And the Oilers end up with 62 to finish last. 2011, the Canucks have 117 points. The Oilers, 62 points again. The Canucks in 2012, 111 points. They lead the league. And Columbus finishes last with 65. 2013, again, lockout shortened season. Chicago has 77 points to lead the league. Florida at the bottom with 36. 2014, Boston 117 points. Buffalo 52. 2015, the Rangers with 113. Buffalo 54. 2016, the Capitals with 120 points. The Toronto Maple Leafs with 69. 2017, the Capitals with 118 points. So they have 118 points, and at the bottom are the Colorado Avalanche with 48. Of course, they then made the playoffs last year. And this past season, the Nashville Predators with 117 points were the President's Trophy winners, and at the bottom, the Buffalo Sabres. Now, again, this board is full. This is as full as it can get. Who won and who lost in their division? So who finished first, who finished last? Anaheim finished first 6 times. They finished at the bottom 4 times. Phoenix finished at the top once, at the bottom 7 times. Phoenix or Arizona, either way. Boston won the division 7 times and were at the bottom 4 times. Buffalo finished first twice, at the bottom 8 times. Calgary finished first 3 times, at the bottom twice. Carolina, an even 4-4. Chicago, 4 at the top, 3 at the bottom. Colorado, 9 at the top, 4 at the bottom. Columbus has never won their division, but they finished last 7 times. Dallas has been first 8 times. Dallas has been at the bottom 4 times. Detroit won the division 13 times. They've never finished at the bottom of the division. The Oilers haven't won the division in the last 25 years, but they've lost it 7 times. They finished at the bottom 7 times. Florida's won it twice. They've been at the bottom 3 times. LA never won the division, been at the bottom 3 times. I think those 2 Stanley Cups makes them feel better about that. The Minnesota Wild, 1 time they've finished first in the division, 4 times they've finished at the bottom. Montreal's been the top team 4 times, the bottom team 3 times. The Nashville Predators, once they've been at the top, this was this past season. They've been at the bottom 4 times. The New Jersey Devils at the top 9 times, at the bottom twice. The Islanders, this is stunning. And I knew they were bad, but this really, really shows it. They didn't win the division once, but they finished at the bottom 12 times. And really, honestly, they could have finished at the bottom again this past season. It could have been 13. The Rangers finished at the top 3 times, at the bottom once, and that 1 time at the bottom was this past year. The Ottawa Senators at the top 4 times, at the bottom 5 times. Philadelphia at the top 6 times, bottom once. Pittsburgh tops 7 times, bottom 4 times. San Jose at the top 6 times, at the bottom 4 times. The St. Louis Blues at the top 3 times, bottom twice. Tampa Bay tops 3 times, at the bottom 7. Toronto at the top once, at the bottom 5 times. Vancouver, they've won the division 8 times. They've lost the division 4 times. Vegas, once, because they've been in the league for 1 year, and they won their division that year. The Capitals won their division 9 times. They finished at the bottom 3 times. And the Winnipeg Jets, including, of course, the Atlanta Thrashers before that, finished first in their division once and at the bottom 4 times. So there you go. The division records of the divisions from 1992 right through until 2018. And as you can see, the NHL goes through various changes along the way. And, we still tend to see a lot of the same teams finishing around the bottom that we would see before that lockout wiped out that whole year. It's a strange reality. But anyways, there you go. Division strength, your top and bottom and all that from every season from 92, 93 until now. And let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.